road, niin sanotusti.
Yes, good morning on my behalf as well. My name is Mikko Korpela, and together with Toni Pienonen, we are going to facilitate this morning coffee session. Hopefully everybody is wide awake and dressed up, because that's something very good during these COVID times and when using these online webinar softwares and cameras, I hope. So if you have cameras, please, you can put them on and wave to us and grab a cup of coffee if you have, or tea or any beverage of your like. For those who haven't used Zoom before, I assume that many have used some webinar softwares. So there's the basic functions are always the same. You can type on the chat box here, and if you have any comments or questions or anything like that, please don't hesitate to do that, because that's the way to communicate with us. I'm going to check out the chat box for the whole time. And of course, you have some reactions also. So if you want to put thumbs up or wave or raise your hand for a comment or such, please do so also. But otherwise, we will have an hour or so together here on the theme, how to build a pitch. So welcome, everybody.
Yes, welcome also on my behalf. And yeah, pitch building, it's a really, really good skill pretty much for anyone doing any kind of business. You don't necessarily need to be getting funding, but also having a good pitch is about really outlining the key points of your idea, your business proposal, or whatnot for a variety of reasons. So I think all the tips that we're going to give you today can be used in multiple ways, in multiple situations. So you don't need to be just a startup that is looking for funding. And yeah, we are organizing this event as part of our project in Kuopio, in Northern Savonia. So thanks to the help of EU, European Social Fund, we're able to do this. And this is also part of our program, our accelerator program that we are running for some 20 startup and start again teams. And the good thing is that if for those participants who are in the program, there will be also additional support available. And some of the other participants in this event are just people from Crazy Town community and wider audience. So yeah, welcome on my behalf to everyone. But yeah, the thing how we're going to run this 1 hour is like this. So first we're going to give some universal tips about pitching, like that can really be applied to any kind of situation, regardless of what kind of pitch you are doing. Then we're going to go through the structure of a pitch, what kind of elements to have in your pitch deck, in your presentation. And we're also going to do towards the end a really short pitch building exercise for those who are here live. So you will get to also participate a bit. And finally, summary of tips and tricks. And for those who have registered for the event, we will be sending some links and other materials that you can use in your own work afterwards.
Yes, and as you know that we are going to make a recording out of this, so you can find it on the crazytown.fi website after the show is over.
Yes.
So if something needs to come back, if you need to recap some of these tips and tricks and ideas, you can come back to them later on.
Yeah, and if you have any sound problems, either you don't get the sound, so you can maybe Mikko also type in the chat like how you can change the audio settings, but also in the exercise, if you can't get output from your own mic, you can do those things in the sound settings. But yeah, let's get the show on the road. So, of course, you've been probably hearing, if you're not familiar with pitching beforehand, you probably think that, yeah, what is a pitch? So it's really, really important that here in the beginning, that you really see that there can be actually different types of pitches. You can have the 1 sentence pitch, 10 seconds maximum length, that really is about getting the interest of the person you, for example, meet in a live event, you're meeting a lot of people, or just trying to get someone's interest right away, hook them on you. So one sentence pitch so that's like the starting point. And good thing about when you're creating a pitch or different types of pitches of different lengths, you can really build upon different types. So for example, this one sentence pitch that we're going to also explain in a bit later on is something you can always build upon. So use this as a starting point to really get to the essentials. And from there, you can expand on lengthier pitches. So as the next step, 1 to 2 minute elevator pitch that's really about convincing someone quickly. And then you don't necessarily have any slides in that. And then finally, this kind of maybe what is the most typical pitch in different kinds of events when you have a lot of startups on the stage, this kind of 3 to 7 minute pitch. There you also get actually some chance to put on some facts on the table, some material, some figures, but still it's a very short length. So I'd say always keep in mind that if you really need to have a lot of information, financial information and whatnot, you can then include those as an additional information in your so-called investor or sales deck. So, and that is something that you can then use in meetings with potential partners and investors that can, well, go on from 10 minutes to several hours even. So just as a kind of a starting point, keep in mind that there can be several types of pitches, but it always starts with the one sentence pitch.
And I think this is a great way to kind of find different kind of agendas for different kind of situations, because you don't always have those same time lengths when you have to pitch your ideas and to talk to different kind of people. For example, if you're in a party of or some kind of conference, you might only have those 10 seconds or 1 to 2 minutes with people and get those essential things about your business idea out loud. So you have to have those kind of different settings for different pitching, different situations. And do you think, Toni, that it's a skill that you can learn?
Of course. So it's not rocket science by any means. So it's really about practicing, testing your speaking it out loud in different situations. I think that's like the key thing, that you just need to repeat and repeat and repeat and practice it. So and it's really about, boiling down everything to the essentials to get the point across. And before we go on, we had prepared a poll. So we could just use that here in the beginning to get some kind of idea about you who are here live and about like your experience and in pitching and what kind of things you are interested in learning about. So if I will actually put up the poll. So here, if you're not familiar with Zoom previously, so there's this kind of a poll option. You're going to get to choose your answer, and we're going to see the results. So
yes. This is Anssi. I have hi guys. I have one comment about this decks and it's I have lessons learned that it's very important that you have the multiple decks and one which is for first meeting. It should be really high level, and it's sometimes it's also true that not all the people, there are lots of who are acting as an investor, but it might be even just collecting some ideas and not intend even to invest anything. So it's very important that with the first meetings, you should. I have, in my experience, I have at the moment 3 decks. One is really for first meeting, second is second, and third is only for last one. and it's also very good that you have only few slides at the beginning.
Yes.
And there is not even time to go huge because investors sees lots of companies.
Thank you, Anssi, for this comment. I believe you're correct in that one. Yes,
Absolutely.
but the polling.
Yeah, and we'll touch upon that in the structure of the pitch, but it's absolutely as you said. So, are you seeing questions, Mikko? And
yes, we are. I think so, and hopefully everybody else is seeing these as well. So you can start answering from your own behalf. So, have you done a pitch about your business before? There's 3 different options: no, yes, once, yes, several pitches, and also the second question is online. Where would you need to focus right now the most in your own business? So, do you define your 1-sentence pitch and value, or what to include in the pitch, or figures and numbers, or would you like to have more arguments on behalf of your pitch? And now people are starting to answer this poll, and I'll give you a little bit more time to fulfill your answers. And we will soon end the poll and you will see the results. But yes, so have you done a pitch about your business before, and where would you need to focus right now the most? Still a few are still voting. So 15 seconds. It's good to see how experienced our audience is with pitching at the moment, so we can define the rest of the show. All right, and now most of you have voted, so I'm ending the poll, and here are the results. So for the first question, there's about a third of you said that you haven't done pitching before. Some of you have done it once, and 42% of the answers said that you have done several pitching times. So that's the most of our audience. And on the question, where would you like to focus now? Right now, for the most, there is some answers from arguments and whom to target the pitch for, but the most seem to be wanting to define the 1-sentence pitch and value, and also to what to include in the pitch. So the kind of basic structure. So I think that's good because we're going to go through those questions in a moment.
yes,
Thank you for answering.
thank you all. That's a really good starting point for us. And one more this kind of definition thing as a general rule of thumb. Have the pitch deck short and sweet, less text. You don't even necessarily need to have all that really a lot of detailed information there. But then the investor/sales deck, as Anssi said, the one you will be then using for really serious talks, that can have a lot of detailed figures and numbers. And usually it's a good idea that your investor/sales deck is something that also works independently without someone explaining or presenting it, because especially in bigger organizations, this sales or investor deck usually gets forwarded to different people and you never know on whose table it's going to end up. So as a general rule of thumb. But yeah, first of all, we're going to give 5 universal rules that apply to all sorts of pitches on how to pitch. And this is something that we have gathered in our experience as when we've been training teams to do pitches, or for example, I have been in a jury of some accelerators. So listening to what are oftentimes the mishaps that people have. And really important thing, open your presentation, your pitch with an impact. Get people's attention right away from the get-go. And this is really important because it's hard to recreate the pitch mid-pitch, because it's something that needs to really start in the beginning. And yeah, the impact thing can be something about facts, numbers, or a personal story that really hooks the listener's attention. Because you can imagine you're still, even though it's a serious situation with a jury of investors wanting to be there, they are still distracted by this thing and anything else that's happening around them. So really get their attention focused with a strong opening. Open your pitch with an impact.
An excellent way to learn it is to watch, if you know the show Dragon's Den, Leijon and Luola, where these kind of innovators and entrepreneurs pitch their ideas to the judges or jury of venture capitalists and investors. And I think that's a very good show to learn how to open with an impact, because you can see very let's say various type of getting the attention in this show. Do you know that show, Toni?
Yes, of course. Or Shark Tank also in some
Yes.
countries. But yeah, then the second rule, you should think of yourself as a storyteller. So the structure of the pitch oftentimes should go from problem awareness towards solution awareness, from why to how. This kind of as a rule of thumb. So because it gives the whole thing some kind of a structure. That you've all been watching, listening, hearing stories as a kid where there's this hero ends up with challenges and then solves them. So in a way, the same thing applies here. Think of yourself also in the pitch as a storyteller and invoke some emotions. Those emotions can be related to overall situation, some kind of association with the need you are solving, or invoking emotions within, let's say, your specific thing that you are solving. That, yeah, as a CEO, you are often faced with these and these kind of situations. You get what I mean. But yeah, think of yourself as a storyteller. And third rule, really important, especially for shorter pitches, keep it simple, stupid, KISS principle. Because the thing is, you never know how well the audience is aware about your own specific niche, about the technology you are working on, about the jargon you are using. So put out the jargon, don't fill too much information in the slides, in the pitch, because the purpose of the pitch is to get someone interested, to hook their attention and to do something afterwards. So the pitch itself should be really, really straightforward and on the point. And this is something that you often, I think a very common problem for many pitches is that they tend to go all over the place.
Also not an easy target to do, because usually it means that you have to cut down and really think about it. How can I say these things in a simple manner that everybody really understands what I'm talking about? But it's good to kind of keep in mind the impact of the start, the whole pitch, that what are you trying to achieve? What kind of things you need people to get from your idea? What are the essentials? But usually this takes time and it's not easy.
And you should really have this one single governing thought, main thought in your pitch. You can always have additional details later on and in the investor or sales deck. But in the pitch itself, one single main thought that builds upon the whole thing. And yeah, always speak for a specific target audience. Know in advance how you want them to react. So always think of pitching as something that you need to have an objective about. And here's an important thing. It doesn't need to be always about getting funded. Situations where you get the pitch, they can be about, hey, I'm looking for partners, I'm looking for customers, I'm looking for new talent, I'm looking for help, advisors, or whatnot. So you don't need to be always looking for funding. Remember this. And that's really important, because always at the end of the pitch, you need to have a call to action, something that you want to happen afterwards. And yeah, it can be those kind of customers, partners, whatnot, but it can of course also be about funding. But remember this about the audience you are talking to and what you want to achieve. And yeah, final rule, be yourself and don't be afraid to be different, because again, especially in situations where you have multiple businesses competing for attention, whether it's online investor event or a physical investor event with the pitch day, the people are hearing so many pitches, and the thing is they only remember afterwards some small details about it, like that really stood out. So find the thing that makes you different, capitalize on that, and be yourself. That's really also important. So don't be, because we have some examples we can share you about really this kind of wacky pitch videos that actually work, but they only work because the person talking is like that. Any last additions, Mikko?
Yes, I think this is an important rule. You always have to have a structure in your pitch, which is kind of the same, but still you need to be different, as you said, to get in mind of the judges, because as you said, Toni, in pitching events, for example, the jury and the VCs can hear, let's say, like 100 pitches a day or 50 pitches a day. It's difficult to stand out if you don't if you cannot bring something small extra on it. But still, you need to be true to yourself, as you said. It's hard to be something that you're not. So important issue, I think.
Yeah. And that was also, I think, one of the reasons, for example, why Peter Westerback originally started wearing the red hoodie, because that stood out in different places. But yeah,
that might be.
But yeah, then the beef of the whole thing: what to have in the pitch, how to structure your pitch. So we're going to give you some tips on essential slides to have in your deck. But remember, you don't always need to have all of those in your pitch. You should have these ready, as Anssi said, have different decks ready that you can then combine together. But when pitching, you don't always need to have all of these. But before we go on that, here's an excellent tool you can have. So you can use the pitch canvas. We're giving you the link in the materials, but this is a really one-pager tool to really understand, like, hey, what actually are the things I need to have, and what are the questions I need to answer to. So really good tip for everyone about the relevant questions. We'll include this, and yeah. And of course, as Hanna said in the comments, structure equals dramatic arc. And pretty much so. So I think, like, thinking of different decks that I have and pitches that I have seen, read, heard, I think like these dozen slides are must-haves in any slide deck, because these often like really capture the essentials. But of course, you can always have and should have these backup additional slides that, for example, make up your investor deck or sales deck. And if you're doing a short pitch with, like, let's say 2 minutes on the stage and you need to use slides, then of course you can't use all of these. But let's say if you have 5 to 7 minutes on the stage to do your pitch, you can cover pretty much all of these in your deck. But yeah, as we said, also open with an impact. And I would say also the pitch deck should start by opening with an impact. So in the intro slide, it's a good thing to use your one-sentence pitch there. What your thing is all about. So it really sticks in the mind of the audience. And from there, you go to problem awareness, and then why, and then more about the details of your business, and then some additional information. And now we're going to go through some different slides in a bit more detail with some examples that you can also use in your own pitch. So starting off with the first intro slide, one sentence speech. Here, go to the bare essentials, bare minimum, because this is the thing that needs to stay in the memory of all the people in the audience. It's a good way to often use analogies or metaphors. We are the Airbnb for, we are the Netflix for. That's a very typical way to do that. But it's really important that there's no jargon in the one sentence speech. And this is a typical exercise that we have been using to structure your one sentence speech. So you can also already think of this in advance, because it's something you can get to do in the small exercise. But yeah, our name title is product service for target or user to solve the problem, to solve the pain, to give them the value proposition. The example isn't necessarily that easy to understand with those words, but if we had Netflix as an example, it could be something like this.
Yes, Netflix is a streaming service for people who enjoy entertainment to watch endless amounts of movies with one cheap monthly payment. Again, not as easy to do as to see it in here, but that's the kind of the same structure that Toni just previously showed you in the last slide.
Yes, but it's something that really should do a lot of focus on building your one sentence pitch, because it's always something that really sets the stage for rest of the pitch. That's the single governing thought that you use in your whole idea, and you can always build and extend upon that. But yeah, typically the structure of a pitch then goes to the problem, to the need, to why part. What are we solving? What are we doing? So here you should really underline the essentials of the problem, but get to the point immediately, and if you can, evoke emotions. But really stick with the main problem or the need that you are solving on the market, among the users, in the society. And oftentimes it's a good idea if you can have some facts here as well, some figures and metrics, whatnot. Here's an example of how Airbnb originally in their slide deck about 10 years ago underlined the problem. Price, it's an important concern for the customer. There's the trend of people wanting to really go in depth into the culture of the city they are visiting. So typical hotels leave you disconnected. And if I'm owner of an apartment and I would like to rent it out, well, there's no easy way for me to offer it for tourists, and the tourists, yeah, it's difficult for them to book those things. So really well defined 3 key problems and what they were solving with their solution. Because from problem to solution, what is your solution? How does it help? And here, it's really important that you focus on the value you are bringing, not the features. Don't talk too much about the features and gimmicky stuff here. Focus on the value that you are solving with the problem.
Yes, us Finns are very good with the technical stuff and technical details. We usually tend to say like how good it is, how good our product or service is technically, and what can it do. But I think it's a significant difference to actually concentrate on the value, on the what does it do for the end customer? How can you ease the pains and the challenges that is there? So that's also very essential.
Yes, and again, using the Airbnb example here, the solution is a web platform where users can rent out their space to host travelers to save money when traveling. Previously, price was a problem. To make money when hosting. Okay, if I'm a host and I didn't have that opportunity previously, well, that tackles that problem. And then share culture, enable local connections to the city. Again, solving the problem that hotels leave tourists disconnected from the culture. Because that's, yeah. So it's really, really, I think, a very good example of how you have a clearly defined problem and sub problems and then the solution. And then comes the part when you can actually maybe talk a little bit about like, yeah, what your solution is more about. But again, instead of having too much technical stuff, especially in a pitch, you should now focus more about visualizing your solution, showing how it looks, how it feels like. So if you have any videos, screen captures, minimum viable product, photos, now here's the part where you really need to use them. And you can really use different ways. You can embed videos in your pitch, you can do photos and whatnot. But a word of warning, if you are pitching and you then stop your pitch there on the stage, let's look a video on over here, and it's a total silence. Please don't do that. Narrate your video on the stage. Yeah, here, this is the part where you can really show how your solution feels like. Then market and traction, because now that you have gotten someone's interest about your solution, so now it's a good time to know about like, yeah, how big is the actual problem, whether it's a societal problem, whether it's a market need. So yeah, this is the part where you really should use all the in-depth background research you've been doing, metrics, figures. And if you already have some customer references, you can also include them in this part. So what do we mean by this? A typical way is to really simplify the markets by visualizing it in different segments so that you can see the size, maybe the also the market size as well. Or you can use, this is a very traditional, typical way to also put down the market in this kind of different blocks. So serviceable, obtainable market, this is the one we are aiming to serve first. Then this is the served available market that we can reach out quite well, and then the total available market in globally. So, but this is this kind of SOM, SAM, and TAM differentiation is something that many investors especially are familiar with. Or you can also use here some metrics about your customers, like to show some traction. If you already have a service that is on the market, you already have customers there. So how does it look from that end? Yeah, we have this and this many paying users, or already our NPS is 60% and whatnot. Of course, if you're really in an early stage with your idea and you haven't actually launched your product yet, you can always also show that there is customer traction already. If you have done some proof of concept pilot tests, if you have interviewed potential customers, if you have collected newsletter subscriptions, whatnot, if you already have partnership agreements, memorandums of understanding, this is the part that you can use these to show that, yeah, our solution is interesting. You can include some quotes from a potential customer here. So don't worry if you are an early stage startup and you don't yet have these. You can always also show that others are interested by showing things like this.
Yes, and I think that's a good way of proving that you have done your homework. You know what you're talking about. For example, if you know about the market need in general, there's lots of statistics that you can utilize. But of course, you can make some of your own. So you can interview customers or potential customers or just consumers or the businesses that you're approaching. So very good to do this to show the investors and the people who are interested that you have done your homework.
And then as we approach the halfway, competition and the unique selling point of your solution. How are you special, better, or at least different than the alternatives that's out there in the market? Again, you can use different ways to visualize this. Very typical way is to have these two different axes that have different features. out there, and usually you would like to position your own business in the top right corner. This is the really cliched one, but it works. Or if you're more about feature kind of oriented business, a chart is a very good way to also do that. So you have the features, all the features, but your competitors are always missing at least 1 or 2 key features. Because this is something that you can immediately show and visualize with one slide to the audience how you are different.
And this is something we hear a lot from companies. Our platform, our solution, our service is doing all these kind of things that competitors are doing not all. You can have it buy separately, but if you buy our package, we have them all. So this is a very good way to visualize it.
And then the business model, how do you make money, scalability, etc. But yeah, keep this simple. When we were gathering investors and pitching quite a lot in 2016, 17, 18, this is the one where we failed a lot because we were doing this way too complicated. And all the investors were thinking, so you're a office renting business. And that's well, yes, but that's not all. But we just failed at this. We didn't simplify enough. So when you are taking how you will make money, use some, just like, let's say, a maximum of 3 different sources of income, or how everything is connected, but keep it simple and show that it's somehow scalable. I think like the Airbnb example is very good in the sense that it's coherent and again, simple to understand. They take a 10% commission on each transaction. Yeah, makes sense. And then they combine that with the previous market slide. But yeah, this is now, of course, especially in the investor deck, you should have these carefully included. This is not necessarily always, if you're doing a short pitch, you don't necessarily have time for the financials. They're on the stage. This is often something that you will then include in the additional materials. So key financial figures, investments that you've already made, or investors you've already gotten on board. These are also things that you should include here. But yeah, this is, yeah, there are some examples of numbers that are figures that you can utilize. There's, you've been seeing these example slides that we've been using here, and they are all from this ready-made template for building your own pitch called the services pitch. And we have included the link in the materials. So if you're struggling with how to structure your slides, this is an excellent template that you can use. But yeah, you can also have easy to understand graphs to visualize things, especially if you're on the stage. Use graphs instead of tables. But yeah, this is, but keep them simple. The problem that we've been doing is that we had a lot of different conflicting bars and graphs, and yeah, people just lost their interest and understanding. And yeah, we're getting towards the end. And team, this is, I would say, one of the most important slides you have, and one of the most important assets that, especially if you're a startup, this is actually the thing that investors are investing in quite a lot. Because yeah, you might have a great idea for a business or a service, but it's full of unknowns. Then you never know if it's actually end up realized. But if you have a good team to deliver that thing, you can succeed. And of course, if you fail in your original idea, you can maybe with the help of the team, you can do something else, something new. So this is really actually one of the most key things that investors are often paying attention to, the team that you have.
Yes, and I think both the team and the figures that that you just mentioned earlier are very that those kind of things that you need to be kind of visible as well. Don't be afraid of the figures. Don't be afraid of showing that you are unsure on some stages. What are the unsure things? Because this is something that, of course, interests the potential investors in the future, and to have them on your deck is a good thing.
Yeah, and really focus on the core team, 3 to 4 or 5 key people you have on board, and here have some words about their experience or previous achievements that they have been doing, but keep it short. And if you're a solopreneur, even, you can have actually a team on your deck, because you can always and should include advisors, board members, mentors in your extended team.
And there's a question from Anna Juusela. She wrote that for bootstrapping company, should we somehow include the used hours, own money invested, etc., to show that even there hasn't yet been investments, things have been moving forward?
Absolutely. I would. That's my personal opinion. That absolutely, yes. Because it also shows that you are also committed there, because time is really the most valuable thing that we also have as people. So it really shows the commitments. And finally, roadmap, key milestones ahead. Not necessarily you don't have time on the pitch stage for this, but especially for the investor deck, for the sales deck, really important. What are the steps ahead? This is in a way, roadmap equals strategy, in a way, that what are really the key milestones that you plan to achieve in the near future. So yeah, for example, prototype, first customers there, this kind of things, like really key milestones. Don't get too muddled in the detail. And finally, if the team is important slide, so is this one. What's your call to action? Be clear about what you want to happen next and what kind of help is needed. Is it partners, customers, talent, investment, all of these but yeah, be clear about what you are looking for. So because we've seen some pitches where this was left out, and you kind of like miss the whole point of the show. Again, using the Airbnb example, this was what they were looking for. So they were looking for funding 500,000, $500,000 US angel round that enabled them to reach 80,000 transactions for the next 12 months. And that enabled this and this much of revenue. So pretty compelling. And finally, something that we sometimes see happening, missing contact information, because again, you never know where your pitch is going to end up afterwards, where the deck might be shared. Have the right contact information at the end. Sorry, that's the wrong text. So really have the contact information there, because you never know where your presentation is going to end up. And remember, as Anssi said in the beginning, you can always have additional slides, different slides for different situations. But if I were to have 12 essential slides that I can use in pretty much anything, it would be really these 12. And you can, of course, combine these things into one slide. And slides, in the end, don't matter as much as your presentation when pitching. That's also, I think, like an important takeaway. You can always also communicate these things verbally, even if you don't have the slides.
Excellent. Thank you, Toni. Very well structured blueprints of a pitch, of a pitch deck. If you have any questions or comments, you might write them down in the chat. at the moment, so we can go them through. But I think this is a pretty good way to start building your pitch. These kind of main themes, main structure.
Yes, and thing is, we're going to include in the materials this kind of list of and links to different resources that you can also freely use for any kind of logos, symbols. These are two really good services that you can utilize for any photographs. If you are missing, there's very good free services available. And then for the ready-made pitch template, some of the examples were from this service called Pitch. Feel free to download that. It's a very good deck to help you structure things. So we're going to include these in the materials. But maybe we could. Yeah.
Sorry, one more question from Anssi about the go-to-market strategy. Should you include some kind of a go-to-market strategy and maybe how to do it?
Yeah, I would. For example, I think that's that could be in the roadmap. So if your startup is in that phase that you're going to the market, I would have that in the roadmap part. So I would replace roadmap with go-to-market.
Yes, very good. Okay, we have still about 12 minutes.
Yes, do you have any examples you could share of written speech combined to the slides? Yeah, we have some. Let's see if we can find some good examples. We can include them in the materials and resources we are going to send. We'll try to find.
Yeah, we have some, I think, where slides have been talked over with. So they have made a video out of the slides, which is a good feature in PowerPoints and keynotes. So that's an easy way to do a video from your pitch.
Yeah.
I'm working on an idea now. I'm working on an idea now. I was wondering, should I first make my MVP before going to investors to seek money?
Well, of course, not knowing the exact details about your idea and the business you are in, but I would at least try to, I would do some preliminary testing and I would try to get some feedback already from at least some early stage investors, business angels, because those people's they won't, if you're serious about your idea and what you're working on, they won't turn you down. They can say that, yeah, it's a really good thing that they will get back to you later. So I would start approaching potential investors as soon as possible, but of course, be open and realistic about what stage you are in.
Very good. Any other comments, questions? You can still share them in the chat because I think we still have a short interaction, short practice to do, right?
Yes, we have. I guess it's time for that.
Yes.
So, really short, we have some 10 minutes left, but we have a very good audience here. So let's make use of this opportunity for all of you to just practice presenting your idea. So we would really love that Mikko is going to put you in different breakout rooms with random people. Let's say in groups of 2 pairs, or 3.
I would say that 3 to 4 participants per group. Yeah.
So just take and in turns, if you can, present your 1-sentence pitch. And of course, it can be 2 sentences because this is, of course, maybe coming quite soon for you. But tell what you are doing. So if you use the Netflix as an example, Netflix is a streaming service for people who enjoy entertainment to watch endless amounts of movies with one cheap monthly payment. Or we are the Airbnb for this and that. So just to get you exposed the idea of pitching your thing to others.
Yes,
So,
I will open the rooms and you will have 8 minutes to have these conversations and to try to form your one sentence pitch. So the rooms will be opening now, and just click join room if it comes on your screen here. Have a good talk. Thank you, everybody, and sorry for the short period of interaction time there. During an online event, that really is if you give 8 minutes, it is 8 minutes. On a live session, you can always like slide the time a bit, but during the online session, I've noticed that it's kind of harsh. But thank you. Hopefully, you got many good ideas on your short sentence pitch and heard and talked with new people. So networking, yes, of course, is a good thing.
But yeah, I'd say this also answers to Kare's question, hopefully, about like what's the biggest mistake you can make when doing a pitch deck. Well, I'd say avoid these. The unclear one sentence pitch, keep it clear, because that builds upon the whole thing. Then having too much small text, that's often a problem. Fumbling with videos and tech on the stage or during the session, avoid that. And if it's a pre-recorded video pitching, because in many online events nowadays, or whether their pitches might actually happen via pre-recorded videos. So if it's a pre-recorded video pitch, please include narration. Don't make it so that the jury or the audience needs to watch through slideshows and music. Have a voiceover. And don't forget the call to action. To wrap it up, we are going to include in the deck this slide, all slides that you also get. Here's a really good list of resources that are freely available for you to utilize when making your own pitch. I especially really love the Pexel service, Noun project for all the nice symbols and icons, and then the pitch template is really good for having good visual outlook that you can utilize when you're making your own deck. But yeah, finally, our call to action for you. This depends a bit depending on your background. So if you're finest love from Crazy Town program participant, please feel free to book a time with me to test your pitch or pitch deck. I know that many of you have already booked that, so I've opened sessions for Thursdays and Fridays. And if you notice that these dates none of them work for you, just approach me and we can agree on something. And then for those from Northern Savo, from Kuopio, you're also free to join our virtual Crazy Town community, connect with 250 companies. So this is a service available for all of those from Northern Savo. And for anyone else, join our upcoming sessions. We actually have at the end of the month, Toni Pienonen, who is actually a participant here, is talking about growth funding. He's a person that can make any kind of public or private funding understandable for anyone. Huge recommendation to Tommi. He really can help out with growth funding issues. And then in March, we have a separate session with Kusta and Peter, which is open for anyone. They are business angels on how to talk to investors. So
yes, very interesting themes. And it's also related to this pitching theme here. So I think you can try to use these skills that you learned in practice. And any questions and comments, please contact us. I'll put mine and Toni's email addresses here in the chat, and also put a link for the page where you can find the recording of this session. So if you need to recap something, don't go there. Okay.